Welcome to the show.
Mic check, mic check. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Infusion Breakdown Show. As always, this is your boy Joshua Freeman. To my left, I got Mr. Bryan Carey. To my right, I got Mr. Desmond Tillman.
Fellas.
How you guys doing? How was
Great.
your guys' holidays?
Awesome. Had a chance to see the family and go back. It was a little short. I should have just took the whole week off, but didn't do it.
Oh, you didn't
Way
take
too
off?
short. I took Monday and Tuesday off instead of Thursday and Friday. So
Okay. Yeah, it worked all week. Shane.
You did?
Yeah. But it is what it is. The question we have for you guys today: what harsh truths have you come to accept or choose to ignore? What do you guys think? So, I don't know who wants to start this one up.
maybe you can start this one
I'll let
off.
either of you.
Yeah, you can start this one off, bro.
You want me to? I kind of want to hear what you have to say first, though.
I was actually I didn't even know what the question was today until before we recorded, and it's something that I've been thinking about a lot. And I think the harsh truth that I've come to realize is you can't complain about behaviors that you allow. Like, I think it's really just as cut and paste as that. Like, I think we've, as human beings, I'm gonna say as aware human beings, we're really good at setting boundaries, and we can detect behaviors that cross those boundaries. We can detect, actions that cross those boundaries. So we become aware of, said person's or anyone's actions or whatever they say, whatever it may be. And then we feel the way we feel the guilt, we feel the anger, whatever, the angst, whatever it may be. And then after that period of analyzing and seeing everything for what it is, if we choose to place ourselves back in that same environment or that same prediction or the same, setting that caused that behavior to, occur, or if we go back to the person where we know they haven't taken the time out to adjust their energy or, take time out to really get to know themselves and expect behavior to change, then we essentially looked at every single red flag. We took that person for what they were. We took that setting for what it was and chose willfully to go back into it. And so I think one thing that's just been like heavy on my mind in and out the year is just that we can't complain about things that we allow. Same thing. It doesn't even have to be someone else. It's within ourselves. Like we made the analogy a couple episodes ago, or I made the analogy a couple episodes ago, where we under prepare for things when we know the level of importance that it has, and then complain when we underperform. Like we expected some all team, all star, all world performance when we really didn't even think about it until the day before. So that's one way to analyze it just off of yourself. And the second thing is just you can take it to work. Like you can say, like, the second that you allow somebody to talk to you a certain type of way, that sets a standard. It's like a quota almost. Like that person now realizes they can read you off that base, that little bit of information. They see that, and now it becomes a trend, and only you can end the trend because you allowed it to happen in the first place. So you can set that new standard, that new boundary. Like, you're not going to speak to me this way. This could be with your manager, because at the end of the day, employment doesn't mean ownership. Employment means you go in, you do a job, you get paid. It shouldn't be a toxic environment where you feel like you can't say what you need to say, or you can't present something respectfully without somebody reacting in a way that you feel like you potentially lose your job. So I think it's just one of those things where, like, you gotta realize that, when you feel something deep down inside, when it's time to set that boundary and you choose to set it or you fail to set it, then you can't necessarily be upset with the outcome because you've allowed it to happen. And I think that's just, for me, that's been the biggest lesson of, 2019. I don't really like to look at things by year, like, oh, this year I'm going to do better at this, or, oh, this year this happened, because behaviors that I've allowed in 2019 have happened for years with multiple people. And I think, of course, you really don't ever make that change until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. But you don't know what being sick and tired of being sick and tired is until you're actually sick. And, like, it's something that my dad has talked to me about for years. And he was like, "You're just not sick and tired of being sick and tired?" And I was like, "No, I don't know what that feels like. I don't understand it." And then now that I feel that, and I feel like it's a little bit as far as being a young parent and, not fully having a grasp on my purpose, that I'm kind of reeling in on things that are not beneficial to me now are not going to be beneficial to me 2 days from now, 2 months from now, or 2 years from now. Like, I have to focus on what I know is going to be beneficial 2 days from now, 2 months from now, and 2 years from now.
So a lot of accountability.
Yeah, definitely.
The main thing that I took away from that was something I also believe is not playing victim in a situation you create. Because 9 times out of 10, we know the circumstance that we're getting into, and then so when it comes to like the way people treat you, what you were saying, I think that's subconscious on their part, but where the barrier has been overstepped. But necessarily they don't necessarily think when you allow something that they'll say, "Oh, I could do this again."
Yeah.
They don't necessarily think that, but they act it out.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
But one of the harsh truths I come to what I come to accept is, I feel like 99% of the reason why, not really 99%, but most of the reason why I feel I don't get what I want is because I lack patience. And the fact that realizing that I lack patience, meaning that I know that I usually want to have things in a certain time frame, like I want things now, like whatever, without actually building the process. And not just me, like a lot of people who actually do that actually want to not just go through the actual process.
That's the whole New Year, New Me phenomenon. That's how what you're breaking down right now is exactly how I view the New Year, New Me phenomenon, where I think the easiest one you can think of is like the gym. Like, people really want that gym body by March, April, so they start in January. And I mean,
I think it's about the summertime.
I think spring.
Most people fall off.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm thinking of like when they want it by, but then they don't understand like the gym. I've gone. I think this has been 2019 has been the 1 year that I've gone to the gym consistently, because I've spent 2 years of like really messing my body up, whether it be using improper form or not sticking with a consistent diet or just not going consistently. And I'll tell you, like, even when you are consistent with it, injuries are going to happen. And I think once people like start getting those injuries, or they realize how difficult it is to keep up with it, it's that patience thing. Like, everything is a process.
Yeah. Well, I see that's when diet kicks in. Because like if you're taking injury time off, you can still maintain your diet, and that's the only thing you have to work for you in terms of like your physical fitness.
But there's times now, like I'm on top of like gym 4 or 5 times a week, and I'll just fall off with diet. But I know like the consistency with going is like what reels me back in. Like, all right, that was a bad week of eating. I need to make up. Just having that patience. Understand. I think with patience and understanding, I feel like go hand in hand. Just understanding that you're human and everything's never gonna go as you plan, because some things aren't meant to happen at the time frame you feel they're supposed to happen.
Yeah, life just happens. It doesn't happen within your time frame when exactly you want it to happen. So yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of everything. Like, when stuff just happens organically, like you begin to appreciate stuff definitely a lot more.
Yeah, but like I was saying, just working on that patience and just how dealing with it, just like realizing that it's progress, not perfection. Like, you gotta realize you have to go through the actual steps rather than you can't just get it within one day. No matter how much you think you deserve it too. You know what I mean? So
that's what you're choosing to ignore, or you chose to
no,
accept?
You chose to accept. Yes,
because they're the same thing.
Which were the questions?
Yeah, choosing to ignore or accept it. It's just two different frames of reference.
Okay.
Because either way you're living with it. Ignore is just like you're putting it off.
Yeah, just.
And then accepting is like you're conscious and you're fixating on it. Yeah. Well, not fixating, but it's constantly in the horizon in your peripheral somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's what you were choosing to
accept.
Accept it was the fact that you lack patience.
Yes.
And you need patience.
Yeah. If you realize
you're really good at being impatient. Like, he's just acknowledging that he's.
Yeah, exactly. Acknowledgement is the first.
Okay.
He's acknowledging that he's really good at being impatient.
Yeah.
What caused you to notice that?
My patience?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you like all the things in life, like it was like, why didn't I get this? Like, like what's going on? Why didn't I get this? Like,
there wasn't like a specific moment.
Nah, not a specific moment. I feel you always know deep down, like throughout it, like, okay, I think I need to be more patient in that situation. But then you go back, you probably don't do the same thing. It takes basically a whole bunch of times to realize, oh, okay, I really need patience. Like, let me to accomplish what I want to accomplish. So
You said it. That mindset is like the experience over wisdom. Because wisdom, you see someone's situation and you have the ability to learn and just take that in as for what it is. Whereas like me, like I've heard plenty of experiences over like, you know, not following your dreams, or not that guilt you feel when you're not following your dreams, or, you know, if you're sticking in a failed relationship, or if you're not being who you feel like you need to be. Like you take that as, you know, you take that for what it is. But I think when it comes to experience, like you have to like truly deal with the hardships of your own actions before you learn to appreciate the successes in life.
yeah,
Because I feel like once you do that, then that's when like the snowball effect comes into play. Like you have that one win, and that one win translates into another win, and that's where like the patience and the progress come to play as well.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, him saying he's like impatient, it's not a bad thing. That's like an acknowledgement of.
Well, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not passing any kind of judgment.
Yeah.
But when you said that you had noticed that, and that was your biggest takeaway,
Yeah.
and so going along the lines of what Desmond was saying about like being sick and tired of being sick and tired, there's typically a moment where you realize that, and then you make some kind of shift.
Yeah.
well, I guess you could say it's after the 8th, like after the 10th time you fail. I guess you could say like you fail because of your being impatient, because of your ability to like to rush into whatever it is you're trying to rush into. You know what I mean? So like you after that like 10th time you realize that you're not getting what you realize you're getting. It's like the effect of you keep like not really that you keep putting your hand in the fire, you keep getting burned, like you keep doing it. Like it's like the curiosity killed the cat thing. You try to, but then what's going to happen? You don't know what's going to happen. So it's that like you said, experience. You know what I mean?
So what did you fail at?
What did I fail?
If you're comfortable sharing.
Relationships, school stuff, a lot of stuff you fail at through life. I mean,
And I think with school, man, is like the biggest thing. I think that's something that should be stressed at an early age, is that, you know, kids that get bad grades aren't intellectually docile or like disadvantaged. It's just not a priority to them. Like there is something in their mind that that's either clicked earlier than other people. Because I know with me, I've always been good at school, but I never liked school. If that makes sense. Like I've always been good at, turn it in this day, turn it in and get 100.
yeah,
But it was never a priority for me. Like I never truly understood school translating into job success until I graduated college. And then I started thinking, I was like, these jobs that you can get straight out of college, you know, the 60,000 and up, typically come with a GPA requirement of at least a 3.0.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, if you're not aware of that in high school or undergrad, you're just going to be at store because it's not necessarily a priority. You don't understand the true reason of it. Like, you can still get a job in the field you want. It might not be the most high-paying job in the field you want, but you can still get the job because you have the degree. But then when school becomes a priority to you and you kind of realize, like, all the steps that need to be checked off to succeed, then that's when that shift in your mind, which is like, for me, I've always had the desire to, you know, go to law school, but I never had the desire to go to school. And it was like the second that like I felt like I kind of could envision my purpose, that's when everything clicked. Like I've always said I want to go to law school, but I could never envision myself in law school or practicing law. Like I just knew it was just deep down something I wanted to do. And so I kind of like tried to do things with purpose. So I became, you know, the behavioral therapist. Then I kind of saw like, okay, well, I also got a kid, so now I need more money. So then I did what I needed to do to get a better paying job so I can, you know, support my son. And then it's like, when you go from doing something with purpose and then you go to just working a job for more money but no purpose, you kind of like, it's like that magnetic, that attraction of, I can't do this for the rest of my life. Like I can't go and work for somebody and lack purpose for 30 years.
It's
like
a discomfort with it.
Exactly. And so I think when if you're able, and this is definitely will go into the experience versus wisdom you know, dialogue, is like, this is something that's my god brother and my dad been telling me since I was 15, 16 years old. Like my dad's always told me, you can't chill through life, because I've always had like a really chill demeanor. He was like, this is gonna happen to you. I was like, okay. Like I've always just been very stoic and nonchalant. And then as I got older and I started making my own mistakes and my hiccups started to pile up, that's when I'm like, okay, now everything's starting to make sense.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I'm absorbing what he was just saying, and what you just said echoed a lot of what my mom's taught me, because she works in the school system. I think she's been working there for the past, I don't know how many years, but quite some time now. But what she was saying about the kids not performing well, it's not always that they're problematic children. It's the fact that they're not primed for success. Because if you have, I guess, tumultuous conditions at home, or like you're not adequately prepared, you come in there, you're already at a disadvantage. You're starting behind the other kids who are. And so I think there's a lot to go into it. But so I think more specific, you were asking about what harsh truth was I choosing to ignore us at?
Yeah.
Was about, this is something I've always believed this, but it wasn't necessarily at the forefront of my mind as it is now. But to the degree of which we only have ourselves, we're the only thing that's certain. Because I mean, this is really made evident when my grandma died earlier this year. Because like at her hospital bed when she was unconscious, like they have a chart called like it's the AVPU chart. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And so she scored the lowest rating, so it was completely unresponsive, everything. And there was nothing we could do for her. Like she was there by herself. And so, mortality is something we all face. But even, if you want to look at it as something like less somber, that our own well-being, like if you look at it from we talk a lot about mental health and well-being and trying to improve ourselves amongst ourselves, like even off camera, off script as friends. And no one's going to do that for us but us, like as adults. If you choose to neglect yourself and let your mental health go, or your physical well-being or any of that, like that's perfectly fine. If you don't do it, no one else is. So the degree of which we have just ourselves, and like just the overwhelming responsibility, it's easy to let yourself go. It's easy to stumble, like you were saying, like even going to the gym
and be mediocre.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and some people choose it. Some people are happy with that. I'm not one of them. But it's just, you have to also be compassionate towards yourself and acknowledge that you will slip back sometimes. Like the fact that you were saying, like if you go to the gym and then your diet might be shit for a week, and then you say, well, let me adjust. It's that ability to exercise and grit and come back from it. It's something that we need to have. But I think the biggest takeaway was just responsibility. That in exercising that to the fullest extent over myself. Like, are there any other harsh truths that you choose to accept?
I mean, I think it's like the obvious ones. I think they're obvious because, again, it's the experience versus wisdom. I think this close second would be you can't change people. Mm-hmm. People can only change themselves, which kind of goes hand in hand with what yours is that like until there's accountability, people aren't ever going to see a reason to change because there's that comfort. Like if what I've been doing, regardless if it has a negative impact on you, it's not necessarily directly affecting me, so I'm gonna continue to do it. Or another example of not being able to change someone is like everyone sees it. Everyone has had that falling in love with a person before you actually like get to know them truly, and you fall in love with the potential, being able like I can just off of like the friendship that you guys will have is like I can see this person amounting to great things. I can see them doing X, Y, and Z, but then that person not being able to see it. And that's because we're trying to change that person. We're trying to show them the purpose that they have, not realizing that purpose is like a self-identification thing. Like you have to see it. Nobody can show you it. You have to go through, the nitty-gritty to understand what your purpose is. Like I can't say like, oh man, you look really good doing this, or you're really passionate about this, you could do it. Like no, you have to. Everything is internal. And it definitely goes into what you're saying with like really all you have is yourself, because if you continuously have this mindset to where you want to change, because change is good. People that invoke change, they have very strong hope, they have very strong faith, but at the same time like that's their purpose. Like they've realized that this is a gift that they have. This is what they want to do with their life because it brings them the maximum amount of joy with the most minimum amount of pain, or the least amount of pain. Easy said. the least amount of pain. So that's what they choose to do. Whereas with like us, changing people isn't our purpose. Like we're not designed, we're not made, we're not manufactured to come into this world and live up to someone else's standards. We're brought into this world to like live our own truths and fulfill our own happiness. And I feel like, you know, when you live life without living your own life first and foremost, but when you live life with the purpose of making someone else happy or trying to get them to see something that they can't necessarily see, then that's definitely a blueprint for depression. That's a blueprint for not living up to your own, you know, your own personal legend or your own purpose or whatever you want to call it. And then, I mean, it's just, I'm not going to say it's stupid at the end of the day, but it's negligent of your own being. Like, I feel like there's nothing wrong with helping someone that is aware or someone that has requested help. But if you're just trying to help someone that isn't receiving it, then I mean you're digging yourself into the ground, because it kind of goes into that thing of, my mom and I had a conversation about this. One thing we said about Donald Trump is you can't be mad at him for what he does, because he's never lied to you. He's been who he is from the very jump. So when he does something asinine, you can't be mad at him, because what you see is what you get. He's never fronted about who he is. So I mean, he technically has when it comes to like money and all that.
I knew what you meant.
But you know, when it comes to people, like you have these expectations and you have all this stuff that you have no right to have in the first place. So when that person disappoints you, you take it personal, not realizing that that's just not, they're not at that point to where they're ready to receive what you're given. And they're not going to be ready to receive what you give until they're at that point within themselves eternally or internally.
I was going to ask, if you said you can't have other people you can't tell people, oh, you should go do this, and they'll go do it and like pursue their dreams or something like that.
That's mentorship. Somebody has to be mentally available to be mentored.
Okay,
yeah, like I'm not mentally available to be mentored. As much as I like love the idea, like having a mentor is, you know, from what I've heard and the results I've seen, is one of the best things you could do as a young man. But like me, I'm not at that point to where I've checked off a few of my own personal boxes to be mentored. Like I don't want to go into a mentorship not accomplishing anything. Like I don't want my biggest feat to be a Bachelor of Science in Political Science. Like I feel like I can do a little bit more before I like fully go into that mentorship. And you know, then again, that just speaks to my character or my person as well, because I'm willfully negligent or neglecting myself of, you know, fruitful options, because I feel like I need to do it on my own. And like that's one of those things that like comes with like the sick and tired of being sick and tired, is like realizing that you can't do it on your own, realizing your own faults. And I know one of my biggest faults that I've had the hardest time of letting go is just trying to do everything on my own.
I know when I was younger, one of the harsher truths I chose to ignore was that I guess everybody isn't worried about you in a sense. Like I shouldn't be worried about what other people think of me, and like,
yeah,
no matter where I was. So, but that really stems from me being like the youngest, and like the youngest, the fact that my parents wasn't teaching me as much as they was teaching. There was like the other children, and the fact that I was like getting joked on. I grew up in the prime kids getting joked on era. High school, middle school. I know
still got burned.
Exactly.
I got some aloe for you.
Like you don't, like, kids are mean as hell. Like kids are meaner than adults in a sense.
Kids tell the truth.
Exactly. So and some kids can't take that. Like, oh my god. And you either fall back and be like, oh man, I'm getting sick of joked on, so I'm gonna try to I'm trying to please somebody. So I'm gonna run the jokes, and that doesn't even stem just with jokes too, like just with other things you do, like simple things like just getting dressed, like oh I'm gonna kill people with this today, like am I gonna look good with this, or how people gonna think? That's what I chose to ignore when I was really younger, just trying to please everybody. And that's really what got me in trouble most of the time. And that's what got me the class clown role in high school too, as far as like trying to please everybody and everything like that. So that's one of the harsher truths I chose to.
That's not what you just described. I don't really see that as you today.
Oh, hell no.
So
Hell no. I changed that.
Why? What caused that change?
Well, what caused that change was it was really heartbreak. That's what really caused the change. It caused me like to reassess myself and be like, okay, wait, what
Went
am
through
I?
identity crisis.
Something like that. And then really assess myself like, okay, what am I doing here? Like, I don't care. Like, they don't care about me. I don't care. So it's really like the heartbreak that really started everything in high school, and then all the other societal issues that go down the steps from relationships to school
Right.
to what I was saying earlier.
If I recall correctly, you mentioned your brother playing a role in that, like a long time ago.
As far, yeah, he used to joke me. Yeah, you got older siblings too. It's not just the kids at
No,
school.
no,
You come home to the jokes too if you got older siblings. Like,
No,
yeah.
I was saying like helping you overcome that, not by facilitating with jokes.
Oh yeah.
It's by like.
Oh yeah,
having discussion.
of course. But older brothers are gonna be older brothers too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did express one time where he told me. I remember this was like early high school too, and really this was, I guess you could say it was like the turning point. That one of the other turning points that was like, okay, like it's just gonna be you at the end of the day. Like you shouldn't care what other people think of you. Like who cares? Like at the end of the high school, like in college, at 15 years down the road, like are you really gonna even know these guys? Like what's the point? So it was really that conversation I had with him at that moment. It was probably like early high school, 9th or 10th grade, and then after that, I started thinking like, okay, I'm see how this goes, and then a year later, I got my heart broken for the first time, and then that's when everything spiraled down, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy laughing at my torment.
No.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
He laughing at my torment. What?
This man had you
I'm-
break
I'm-
everything down
Yeah.
just so you can laugh.
I don't find pleasure in anybody else's pain, but just seeing you recount it, it is rather comical.
It's funny.
Yeah, just the way you are.
Yeah,
Related.
that's what I chose to really ignore, like when I was younger, basically. Do you have anything else you chose to ignore?
There's a bunch, but for the sake of not prolonging the episode too much, I'll just talk about one. So what you were saying about people being receptive to mentorship and knowledge and wisdom to be passed down to, like, or kind of like trying to not pass a purpose on to them, but helping them find that purpose. So the same thing applies to like relationships and love. So if I'm a firm believer in the fact that there's no matter how much you love a person, that you good.
Yeah, bro. I'll tell you after you're done.
All right, cool. But no matter how much you love a person, it has no bearing on how they treat you. Like they still have the freedom to.
Hey, I got to tell you. So my
All right,
son
go
got
ahead.
a Woody for Christmas, and all I can think about is that picture you posted this Snapchat. I don't know why looking you dead in your face made me think about that, but that's just what I.
Now, who got him the Woody toy?
My
Okay, it wasn't you.
Nah, my grandma did. Or my grandma, his grandma did. My mom.
That's funny.
Yeah, he loves Toy Story.
He
though, man.
crucified it
That's
yet?
cool. Huh? Chill out. That was actually Buzz, not Woody. But yeah, he had a Buzz like
You said you
so.
drew Buzz and Woody.
Oh yeah, I drew both, but Buzz was the. Yeah. On to the next one.
So yeah, like
come
I
back,
was
you
saying,
come
no
back.
matter how much you actually love a person, it has no consequence on how they treat you. Like they can see that, but if they're not in a place to be receptive of it, it means nothing. And
I'm listening, bro. I'm listening.
so I believe there is like an equation for love, because we choose to love people who we invest more into than the ones who invest into us.
Yeah.
And so that goes into like the awareness that they're not a place to be receptive of it. And it's ultimately, I'm not going to say it's a waste of time, but it's not necessarily, it may not work out the way that you would like for it to.
You good, man? Got anything else to say?
No, I'm good, bro.
You sure?
Yeah. This is.
I'm about to split his sides.
All right, we're gonna wrap up this discussion. What do you guys think? What do you guys think, though? What harsh truth have you come to accept or choose to ignore? Comment, let us know, okay? You got the album of the week?
Yeah, I got the album of the week for y'all. So, album of the week is gonna be the Black album, because we're ending the month off. It should have been album of the week for the beginning of the month because, you know, Jay-Z's birthday is December 4th. But I just had a weird, I'm not going to say weird, but I just had like a desire to listen to it today. So it's my album of the week from start to finish. Favorite song is definitely Allure.
Allure?
Yeah.
Got anything to add?
No, sir.
All right, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button if you guys like the discussion. We see you guys next week. Peace.
Next year, technically.